Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be going over the SP 500, the Nasdaq 100, exactly what is happening on the market. How did we know going into yesterday that the market was going to start dropping, and what set the tone for this, specifically with tech and social media dragging the market down? Before we get into that, to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing. Every single day, we are giving you the videos to show you what is happening on the market so you know what is going to happen, so you're not taken by surprise. Let's get to it. So first thing I'll talk about is Nasdaq and what I overall was targeting on the day. Now, I was very clear. The first range we were going to be testing was this 12.35. Now, the big shocker out of the gate was the potential upside that you were facing. Coming out of the gates, the markets were pushing higher. You actually had you made a new high on the day for the whole week, and this whole push up so far, you pushed all the way up to about 12.7, and then were rejected right after market opened. It was very quick. If you do not remember, you can actually come down to the 3-minute, and you can see all this happened in under about a minute and a half. So, in my opinion, what is happening with the market? What do we think is going to continue to happen? Let's dive right into this. So what I want to do is start going over these key areas. Now, the first one I want to mention is your first previous high. This was your previous high going into Thursday and Wednesday. You can see this was your previous high that you were holding here and here. You can see you respected that all day going into the end of yesterday and into pre-market and after hours yesterday as well. So you came down and you had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tests roughly of this, and then you pop back up, making that high right here, a new high from that level, and then boom, you shot down. Now, going into this can be a little bit confusing, so I want to really break it down so people understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, when I'm talking about continuation, the biggest thing I'm looking at for continuation for a bull trend is holding previous highs. What does that mean? So you held this high here. You kept touching it, you eventually broke, and then you touched, and then you eventually pop back up. That's very bullish. Now, the same goes for that key level. Right here, what happened? As you zoom in here, you can see you got one quick touch, and then you bear flagged, and then boom, you shot down. Now, I'm trying to go through this pretty quick because I want to get you out of here, and I have a few things I want to talk about. And then boom, you came back down to our next level. I had this all posted on Twitter, and we talked about this in Discord as well. And then you hit your next previous high right here, which also was tested, and guess what? You tested it right there. The only trade of the day for me in Discord was this right here. I got SPY puts around 11 a.m., 392, July 25th, 75 cents. Those got as high as, I believe, 250 on the day. Go check and verify. Only trade of the day. I got those a little bit early, but some people let those run and they absolutely printed. You just kept going down. Now, looking at NQ, what am I looking at? Are you bullish? What's happening in this key area? What to expect going into next week? Now, all of this drop, in my opinion, comes from Snapchat's earnings and the expectation to come for next week. So, we do know earnings across the board are coming in. So this is Snapchat yesterday. You were at 16.5 before close. After close, boom, you dropped all the way down to 9.95 on the day. You're officially turning into a penny stock. The big stocks I told you yesterday that were going to be affected: one, Meta, boom, straight down. You came down all the way to target number one. This is 172.5. You're coming down to target 2 now, 165. Again, go watch the video yesterday. We talked specifically about this. It was the stock to trade to the downside. But everything really showed a lot of weakness. The only strong stock on the board was Tesla. Tesla, in my opinion, really helped hold the market in place. Without Tesla, in my opinion, the market's probably dropping significantly. So Tesla's holding this key range right here. Your previous highs, once again, around 815, 814. That's still in place. You still look strong out of Tesla, and that's what's holding you together right now. On the SPY, what am I looking at? First thing I want to talk about is the potential head and shoulders that we may be forming as we speak, going into Monday morning. Now, before I go into any of this, I want to go really quickly to the 4-hour chart and show you what I'm looking at here, and something I posted on Twitter as well. You have not filled this gap yet up to 401.5. You got all the way up to 400.2, I believe, and then you stalled out and came back down. So going into next week, what am I looking at? I'm on high alert for a gap fill to 401.5, and then from there, most likely looking for short positions. However, I want to clarify, you do not have to go all the way back to that level. You need to get back above your previous highs that you had right here, which are around 396. So as long as you remain below 396, what are you doing? What are you trading? You are looking to trade the trend. Where's that trend? Between 396 all the way down to 392.5, back and forth, back and forth. That's what you're looking for. Also, what am I looking at? I'm looking at the potential head and shoulders that may be forming right here. So hypothetically, if you get rejected right here at this range, once again, come Monday morning at about 396 on SPY, I am looking for a catastrophic drop down most likely to 390 and then down deeper going into GDP and those rate decisions. However, again, I'm in no positions right now. I'm all out of everything. So I'm just letting things go over the weekend and kind of playing the reaction going into next week. I have no need to hold things over the weekend because you're getting all those trading opportunities as we speak. And there's no real reason to force opportunities like I keep saying here. But there's a few things I do want to talk about. Now, when we go over to oil, what's happening here? Oil, you started seeing that drop overall, coming back down, back to that key range, $95. This has been the buy zone, the buy zone, the buy zone. The key oil demand for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. It's bounced almost every time. If you drop, this could get bad. But I want to highlight some of these key commodities and the yields that we've been watching. DXY. It's worth mentioning on the day, you had a lot of downside. Even with this downside pressure, we were pushing down on DXY for a better part of the day. Going into yields also dropping on the day. Really catastrophic here. What I do want to mention is going to be the 10-year inversion on the 30-year. You are still pretty high, 92.5%. You have not broke those lows. But the really big thing that I'm watching here is right here. So as you zoom in, actually, let me zoom out a little bit more. It was too much. Right here, the 20-year is staying extremely high. Look how much further that is above the 30-year. You haven't seen this in a while, actually. The 20-year is holding its range very, very high. So in my opinion, that's not showing me that yields are necessarily tanking. That's just showing me that the 10 and 30 are dropping, but in relativity, you're seeing the 20-year stay very high. So I'd like to see the 20-year drop to be more bullish as well. VIX, what's happening here? VIX, we talked about this and we've been talking about it. VIX, you did get a little bit of upside, but with all the bearish momentum on the day, you would have expected more upside on VIX. VIX continues to hold below 24, which again points towards a bullish narrative. Although, yes, I did expect for downside today and the day before, and you finally got that downside right now. I have to believe, and look, you're kind of forming a bear flag here. I have to believe that there's still realm and there's still a room for possibility for more upside coming in the next few days. And I know some people are like, Tyler, this is kind of crazy. Are you sure? What are you talking about? You're still bouncing at your key levels. You haven't broken back below 392. You're still holding this bullish territory. So if you get back above 396, I think you're back in business to continue running. My personal opinion. NQ, you're still holding that key level we mentioned, 1235. Yeah, that was a very violent move. Nonetheless, you're still holding the area. So if you get back above 1253, you're looking very bullish. Now, in my opinion, SPY bounced a lot better than NQ. However, you still got to respect the market and the way we're moving right now. Going over to futures and looking at what's happening on Bookmap with the heat map. I was talking about this in Discord today as well. Even though I was short on SPY, the thing that had me the most interested was not necessarily your volume, but this blue line down here. All morning long, look at that blue line. This is a huge buy order this morning. All day long, buys, just continuous buying, not very much selling all day long. Really none kicking in here. In the end of the day, you see your CVD, that buying pressure really start to kick up. Looking at the market, I have to wonder, were they trying to trap some bears here on the day? Were they really preparing to get started and heating back up into Monday morning? So going into this coming week, the things we need to be looking at. We have GDP data coming up, investing.com. If you're not on here, I promise you guys, you need to get on investing.com. It's going to help you. You're going to see the big things coming out, the key alerts, everything like that as well. So I want you guys to make sure you're watching this. But going into this week on the economic calendar, you need to mark this on your calendar, people. Coming into this week, we're going in all the way. We need to go to Tuesday. Pretty big. You have consumer confidence. Very important. We know that's going to be kind of low, though. And then you need to be looking at what's happening here. Durable goods, all that, it's going to be important. But it's coming into the rate decision in your FOMC statement. Those are all big. And then what's the big boy? The big boy on Thursday. GDP for Q2. What do we know? Two back-to-back negative GDP reports typically indicate a recession. And if you're looking right now, what's their expectation? They are expecting a positive GDP right here. I'm not lying to you. This is what they are saying. They are expecting a positive GDP. They're expecting this to come out of negative of a 1.6 negative to a 0.4% positive. If this comes out positive, you are very bullish on the market. I repeat, if GDP comes out positive, you will run. The market will be bullish. Thursday is the day. That's the day we all need to be looking at because it's going to really show us the overall trend on the market and what's happening. But besides that, if you're not following on Twitter, I also want to highlight here. Again, I was telling everyone, look, you're coming right down to that zone and you're bouncing. Again, all this I'm trying to mark out so everyone knows exactly what is happening, exactly what we're looking at, exactly the buying pressure. So make sure you're on Twitter as well. Absolutely free. I'm never going to charge for anything like that on Twitter. But looking at some of these stocks, I want to highlight. You were coming down to crucial bottoms. And you were getting a decent opportunity. Now, I didn't take advantage of this opportunity. Maybe I kicked myself on Monday. But look at Microsoft, for instance. Now, this was our key zone, but I want to highlight where you're bouncing right now. And this has really developed over the past few days. Look at this level where you're bouncing. You're content, the previous highs as well right here. You're coming back and you're holding that weekly. Very, very strong with earnings coming up this coming week. Look at something like Netflix. Massive run up. You had some downside on the day, holding previous highs. Extremely, extremely strong. Apple, honestly, it should be following the SPY to a T, but still, you're holding these previous highs. In my opinion, you still look like you want to have continuation. I wanted more downside. I was expecting more downside, but looking at the market right now, it's looking like continuation to the upside is most likely coming very soon. So this is what I'm looking at right now and how I'm expecting to play is just looking at these key levels. And if you start to lose these previous highs, you play to the downside. But as of now, you look like you want to continue. And then I want to focus on junk bonds and showing you what's happening here. Now, this morning, you were continuing up. Very important to know. And again, I need to move this back up and establish where the previous highs were. And again, you're going to see you come right back to this area. You had a little bit of downside today with SPY. Makes sense. SPY, Qs, they're all selling off. You're going to get a little bit of downside on junk bonds. Now, when we're seeing nasty sell-offs on the market and a reversal, look what happens to junk bonds. It's really bad. It's straight downside. You don't see consolidation. It's nothing but immediate downside. What are we seeing right here? You're seeing you're holding. You're holding your previous highs. You're holding that level. You're getting a bounce. It's not saying it's over yet. And you're seeing a really great volume increase at the end of the day right there. So you saw that the dipping with, you had a little bit of a breakout on volume, but then you kind of perked up there at the end of the day to really get you back in gear here. So looking at this as a whole, I'm not saying you're completely bearish, you're reversing completely. Because after the price action today, after the abysmal earnings from Snapchat and what happened to something like Google, I mean, Google got slammed today. You still have a positive outlook, in my opinion, and you still look like you can bounce back this coming week. What am I going to be looking for? Now, these earnings like Google and Facebook are going to be very important this week. Maybe the most important earnings. Because if Google and Meta can come out with a positive earnings report this week, you have Google first, then Meta. In my opinion, if they come out with a positive outlook on earnings, this will carry the market. Why? Because this is what you're seeing bring the market down with Snapchat bringing these socials down, right? So that's what brought everything down right now. And this is what we talked about yesterday. So they come out on Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe Wednesday is Meta or maybe it's Thursday. If they come out with a strong outlook, that's going to carry the market and really start getting you out of this breakout range. Again, what are we looking at? This is the big six. If you're not familiar here on the channel, we've been talking about this quite a bit. Remember, this is the area we mentioned yesterday. You came right into it. Boom, you're getting rejected back down. This is your biggest stocks in the market. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Tesla. And they are breaking out. So if you start to get above this range here, you can plug this in. It's really easy to look at on TradingView. If you start breaking above this range, which we'll highlight and we'll keep everyone updated here, you are looking like a monstrous rebound is coming. Now, the stock, before I let you guys out here, the stock I want to highlight, the stock, the premier stock that has maybe the most room to go is going to be Nvidia. And this is maybe the best play on the market. If there was anything worth grabbing leaps, grabbing some calls on, I think it was Nvidia, and I may have missed it here. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I try to remain honest with you at all times. Nvidia looks like it wants to soar. So what I want to highlight here is your previous highs that you had. And you held these highs for quite a while, for around 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 weeks roughly at this highs around 172. Why is this level and what's happening here? You break above it, you fill that gap at 180, you get that nice retest right here. Look at that retest at 173 to 169 roughly. Your previous high, that demand range. This wants to fly, people. This wants to go back into this range of 196 all the way to 191. It wants to get that steam. It wants to get the momentum, people. So this is what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for another push this week, pushing NVIDIA. And why I like NVIDIA is more than just the overall technicals. You have the chips bill. If you don't know, Nancy Pelosi, Google it. Google Nancy Pelosi's husband. What does he own? The guy's buying tons of NVIDIA. He has tons of it. He bought the absolute bottom, probably insider trading. We're not going to even talk about that right now. But look at that. I'm telling you, calls here have massive, massive potential. And honestly, your risk isn't that much, which stops right below like 168, 169. But you have to understand the risk that's associated with this. But your R value is definitely there. If you're looking to get a trade here, let's hypothetically say you enter right here. Your target is just a lower range of that. Look right there. Your R value is of 4.3. So your odds are very much in your favor. And this is a textbook trade that you should be looking at. I love NVIDIA. I will keep mentioning this and I will keep you guys posted because I'm telling you, this is probably one of the most premier trades if we stay bullish is going to be NVIDIA. Now, before I let you out, we're going to look at cheddar flow really quick. I want to highlight some of the options flow coming in. SPY, what was happening? End of day, you're looking pretty bearish. 2.1001 ratio. Puts are definitely in favor here. Qs, what's happening here? 2.2. People are stacking in on those puts, and that's why I was saying there's a possibility for a bear trap. And this is what happened here on VIX. People are betting on VIX. This is the kicker. People are betting on SPY and QQQ to go down, but people are betting on VIX to go down as well. Because look at what's happening with VIX. Even on this move up, you got rejected back at this range. And we have not touched this range, people. We have not touched these key ranges here. You're getting rejected. And go watch the previous videos. We are holding the same key ranges. I do not adjust these ranges. The only ranges I will adjust is the Nasdaq, and typically I go over those with you as well. So looking at the broad scale market, that's what I'm looking at. And ultimately, it's looking like there's a strong possibility you are going to get that upside pressure. Now, I want to highlight on NQ, what are our key ranges that we're still watching? On NQ, the top of this range, about 12.85 to 12.9, key range there. Getting above that, you're probably targeting the 13.5 range. We're not even going to talk about that yet. We got to focus on what's in front of us. So this is where you're focusing right now, is going to be about right here. This is the area, 12.85 all the way to 12.9. Now, if you start getting above this range, 12.55, I flip back to a very strong bull thesis, and that's how I'll be looking. But just know, going into this coming week, what do you need to be prepared for? You need to be prepared for GDP, and then your rate hikes coming in on Wednesday. You also have consumer confidence on Tuesday. So you have a lot of stuff going on, and then big earnings across the board. So make sure you're staying tuned. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter. The Discord link is down below. More videos are coming. Have a good weekend.